Welcome to the podcast. I am so excited for you to meet today's guest. Montana Roberts works at Maricopa Unified School District in Arizona, and she recently received a promotion into the webmaster and social media specialist role after starting as the communications clerk. She's going to share her story of how she got laid off and kind of accidentally fell into this role, but it has turned into such a passion. She's going to talk about how they have strategically grown their social media presence on Facebook and on Instagram and are now rolling it out to their schools. She's going to share a little bit about her key communicator group, which she has one of those groups at each of her schools to help give her content. And she is going to talk a little bit about how the membership program at Social School for EDU has been really pivotal in developing the skills needed to do her job in social media storytelling for a K through 12 school district. And this is timely because if you've been around a long time, or if this is your first time hearing about Social School for EDU, our premier program and how we help schools across really the world in social media through our private membership group. And there is a sale going on right now. If you sign up by August 31st, is there a 31st? Yes, there is a 31st in August. If you sign up by August 31st, you can try out our membership program for just $395 for 6 months. That includes up to 3 people from your school district, all for that one price. You guys, if you really want to set yourself apart, if you want to save your sanity, get some shortcuts, get awesome templates, the best training. We talk about IG, Instagram and TikTok ideas, reels. We're talking a lot about AI and how you can use that. And if you get signed up now, you're even going to be enrolled in our next section of social media boot camp. These are the fundamental steps, the processes, procedures, systems that you need to consistently celebrate your school on social media. And that's happening throughout the month of October. You guys, there's a lot in here. There's a lot of people that are ready to help you. And I hope that now is the time for you to try it out for 6 months and see what it's all about. Again, 6 months, $395. Get signed up by August 31st and you can join us and Montana. Now, before we get into our great interview with Montana, we're going to talk through this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, today's K-12 PR tip is to head on over and look at our latest blog, which talks about 20 social media ideas for the first day of school and back to school season. Today's guest has already started school, but many of you have not started school yet. And sometimes the start of the school year is a busy, crazy, exciting time, but it can also be a little bit stressful. And so we made it easy. We gave you 20 ideas. Don't do all of them. Pick a couple, like creating a reel. Idea number 1 is creating a reel to welcome staff back. Okay. And also number 9 is asking families to share their first day photos. You guys, user-generated content is real. It really works. We talk about it and give you all the tips of exactly how to make sure you can set up your Facebook page to allow people to put pictures right in the comments. Okay. And then idea number 11 is brilliant. It's very easy to do. It's creating a reel of students getting welcomed off of the bus by a staff member. And so check out that example as well, in addition to 17 other ideas. You guys, we just want to make sure that you make the most of all the resources we share. And so today's tip is to head on over and look at those 20 social media ideas for the first day of school and back to school season. Now let's dive into this week's interview with Montana Roberts. Welcome to the podcast. Montana Roberts is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
And it's a Monday morning as we record this, and you just started school last week. How are you feeling?
Exhausted. It has been a lot. Wednesday was the first official day back at school, but every year, the day before school starts, we throw an all staff kind of party at a local venue here. So, leading up to the first day of school, it's chaos, and then the first day of school, obviously chaos.
Yeah, and I was just watching, we'll obviously link to all your social media sites, but I was just watching your first day of school photos. A lot of inspiration there for great ideas of pictures to grab on the first day of school. So many of my listeners have not yet started, even when we publish this on August 12th. But let's start out with your introduction, Montana, a little bit of your background, and then share some information about your school district there at Maricopa Unified School.
Yeah. So I am the webmaster and social media specialist for Maricopa Unified School District. We're about 40-ish minutes south of Phoenix, kind of in the middle of the desert.
Yep.
We have 6 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools, and 1 virtual academy, totaling up to about 10,000 students.
Okay, awesome. So you are a part of our membership group, and
Yes.
we got to chat a little bit in June when I was speaking at the ASPRA conference, and you shared some news that you got a promotion. And so I just wanted to start with, just kind of share, I guess, how you got started in your current role, and then how that kind of all on I don't know, transpired, I guess I would say.
Yeah, so January of 2022, I got laid off from Amazon. I was an HR manager there for 4 years. I thought HR was going to be my life, and I was wrong. Back in high school, I was part of DECA and I took dual enrollment marketing classes, and I fell in love with marketing. Um, but then, life happens and somehow took me on this weird HR route that I thought I liked, but turns out I really didn't.
Okay.
So post layoff, I tried to get jobs in HR, but it seemed like HR as a whole was just not having a good time. So I talked to my husband and I talked to my mom, and they were both like, why don't you try to pursue marketing? Like, you've always loved marketing and you just kind of put it on the back burner. So I live in the town of Maricopa. I looked on the school district website and I saw that they had an opening for the communications clerk, which was kind of a jack of all trades. You're kind of the assistant to the communications team, but it also had bullet points about maintaining social media. So when I joined, we had a Facebook page that got posted on maybe once a month. And then we had an Instagram page that no one had posted on in 5 years.
Wow.
So, part of me coming into that role, we decided, hey, this community is really big on Facebook. Let's really try to bring our Facebook back to life, bring social media back to life for this district. Um, so, with that, my director and I sat down. We watched a ton of videos. I joined your group. I asked so many questions. I'm sure people got tired of seeing my name.
Never.
um, but with that, last summer, my director and I talked about a future need for a social media manager, especially if we were going to continue to use social media as our main form of engagement. Um, and so we sat down, we kind of built out a rough timeline, talked about what that person would be responsible for, and then the school year started. So that kind of got pushed aside, but we were still focusing on really utilizing our Facebook page to connect with our community. Um, Once we got through probably the first half of the year, we sat back down and we were like, okay, so Facebook has really taken off. Let's up our timeline. Let's see if we can get something approved and structured for the 24-25 school year. So that was what we did for most of the second half of the year. Um, it was never, even though I was helping to create the position was never mine. I still had to go through the interview process. I started going back to school to finish my marketing degree while simultaneously completing certifications to show that I could do this job.
Yeah.
And then I still had to wow the interview panel. And right before we met in Flagstaff, I got notified that I had gotten the position.
That is awesome. So now you've officially started in that role. And did you get somebody to fill in your role that you did have as that communication clerk?
Yes, she started last week. So right
Okay.
now I'm kind of trying to balance both while trying to train her. It's really hard to let go when you have like created all these systems and processes and you have certain ways of doing things, and now to just try to hand it off, it's like, oh, but no, I would no, okay.
Yeah, it's just part of growth. I think that's so cool. So you got laid off, which is I don't even know if we talked about that. I got laid off. That's how I started in this job, right? And so some of the best blessings, we say they're not setbacks, they're set ups. They're set
Right.
ups for what is next. So you got laid off in January of 2022. When did you start with Maricopa?
Oh, I'm sorry, January 2023. um
Oh, is when you got laid off was January
yes,
2023.
yes. I started with Maricopa in May of 2023. So I
Okay.
had a good chunk of time where I was just sending out resumes, doing interviews, and just having no luck.
Okay. And it was no luck for a reason because
Yes.
you were born for this job. What made you even look at the school district as an option?
So my mom actually works for the school district.
Okay.
Our district office is like a big V, and I am on one end of the V, and my mom is on the other. So whenever I'm getting hungry, I go and I raid her little snack corner over there. But yeah, she was the one that mentioned like, hey, I know this job is like a significant pay decrease, but it's a good stepping stone to where you originally wanted to be.
Hmm. Yeah, that is awesome. And I'm so glad that you did get started. Sometimes we gotta step back and then step up. Now, didn't you also add some other positions to your communications department this year? Is that right?
No, the year before we added a media specialist
Okay.
position, which was Vince that you met in Flagstaff with me.
Okay. So Vince is focused on media creation, and does he do a lot of video? Is that right?
Yes, so he does a lot of video and still pictures. We have
Okay.
generally him and I will go tag team an event. So he'll go and do the video, and I'll run around taking the stills.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you guys have built quite the team. And I remember talking with you guys before I think you had even joined the membership group. So tell me a little bit about how maybe, we're running a special this month. We're letting people try out the membership group for 6 months if they sign up by the end of August. And so we just kind of wanted to share a little bit about the experiences within the group, like how has your experience been, and then like what kind of support and training has helped the most?
So your group has seriously been like a godsend. When I started as the communication clerk and was told, hey, you're going to run social media, I was like, cool, I don't even maintain my own. Let's see how this goes.
Right.
I looked to your group for so much support. If I had a question, I love that you're able to just go in and search like keywords and I could find, 15 different posts of people talking about the same thing. Or if I was too lazy to search and I could just type it out, I would have, 10, 15 responses, no matter how silly the question, no matter how complicated the question. There were people in that group are always willing and ready to help. And they come at you with videos and, graphics and just they overload you, but in the best way. Um, Also, as we have continued to add, projects and goals to the communications team, like last year, we sort of soft launched a podcast. And I remember I asked like once per quarter in your group, like, someone send me podcast guidelines, like somebody give me tips and tricks for how to get this off the ground. And it's just amazing how everyone in that group is so ready to help each other.
Yeah. And that you are willing to, kind of jump in there and get the results that you want. We've got over 400 schools in there, and it's so great to be able to see everybody working together. And you kind of bring out one of the things that I'm most proud of is it's not just my advice. Like I'm one person, but we have collectively built this group of
Mm-hmm.
storytellers, and so to be able to get all of those examples has been so great. So tell me a little bit about the social media channels you run and how you handle social media at the school level versus the district level.
Yeah. So last year, our main goal was to get the district Facebook off the ground and the district Instagram off the ground. And I think we did that successfully. This year, now that we have someone whose sole responsibility is social media, we are focusing on creating a Facebook page for every single one of our schools. We have a handful that have ones. A couple of them do post regularly. Some of them are just sitting there dormant, but they exist. So at this point, I have all Facebook accounts created except for one. And that's because they're trying to figure out if the one that exists they have access to before I go and create one from scratch. Um, so that's the main goal this year is to have all of our schools have an active Facebook account. But also something that we started last year was our key communicators group, where
Okay.
we had a specific point of contact at each school that would either feed us content or if they had a social media account, would post on the district's behalf. So this year we're really trying to get to be more consistent with our key communicators group, and either have them run the Facebook page that I've created or at least be able to get the buy-in of the rest of the staff to submit content to me so that we have more than just district stuff on the school Facebook pages.
Okay. So that key communicators group at each school, how many people are usually included in that group? Is it
So we do 1 to 2 per school.
okay? Okay. And so they can either feed you stories or they can post. And then I'm imagining all of these new school pages that you are setting up, you have access to those in addition to potentially those folks at the school.
Yes, I've created them under our business Facebook account so that we maintain control over them.
Yep.
That way, if whoever is the content person for that school, say they leave or they move to a different school, we can quickly just remove them and add their new person, rather than trying to chase down the login.
Yeah. And Meta is changing. They've had the Meta business manager. They're switching over, it seems, but I'm not sure how consistently to a business portfolio is what they're calling it now. What version are you guys in right now as far as how you're adding those schools?
I think it's just Meta Business Suite. I
Okay.
think that's what it says in the corner when I log in.
Okay. Yeah, because Meta Business Suite is where you can do kind of the day-to-day interactions. But usually when you're adding the schools, it's either business manager or the business portfolio. But we have lots of discussions of that right now inside of our group because some people are having issues signing people on. The
I
only
did
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
did notice that if I try to do it from within the business portfolio, it adds them in a really strange way. It says like to sign up for Spark or something like that. So I've been going through just regular Facebook and into the settings and adding people that way.
Okay.
And it seems to still work. It still gives them access to, publish content and make edits and stuff.
Yep.
Um, but I don't give them the ability to add new users and remove users and stuff like that.
Right. Or delete the page or things like
Yes.
that. So that's really key. So when you post on your, like you said, Facebook and Instagram are the main ones for the district. How often are you trying to post on those channels? Do you have a
Well,
goal?
once a day is the must, and then
Yep.
I try to do 2 or 3 times depending on the information. So usually if like one of our high schools posts something, then I'll go and I'll reshare it.
Right.
Or if something exciting happens, I want to get that out as soon as possible, or something time sensitive. Then I don't worry so much about, oh, I'm posting too much in one day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'm assuming I didn't look at your page. You probably didn't have much of a following at all on Instagram and pretty low on Facebook. Has that significantly increased over the past year?
Oh, so much, which is both good and bad. We have a ton more followers and a ton more people that we're engaging with, but it also opens us up to a lot more opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to develop your own approach to all of those. So, how do staff and students get involved in social media content? For getting stuff. You said you've got those key communicators. Do you have a specific email address set up though that can come to you, or how does that work?
We we started toying with that idea. I also created like a social media content submission Google form.
Okay.
That way I can create reports from that and I can make sure like I'm giving every school equal love. Because last year when we first started, we got a lot of comments saying, "Oh, you're posting a bunch of this school." It's like, okay, well, they're the ones sending me things.
Right.
So I'm hoping with the Google form that it's a little easier for teachers to just be able to, fill out the form, send it, and then I can get it scheduled.
Yeah.
Um, but we are really trying to get more content from our teachers. Towards the end of the year, we started getting a lot of teachers just sending us pictures and sentences about what was going on. I'm like, this is perfect. This is what I need. But it was always the same, like 10. So trying to expand that a little more.
Yeah. And, you do that. I think your key communicator group that you have set up and then expand it by two or three staff members at each building each year. Like if you can
Yeah.
continually do that, and you've really, haven't been at your school district that long, and have already really made a big difference. What stories have been the most impactful that you've been able to tell on social media?
So I always thought that students were going to be the biggest form of engagement on our social media account, and it's actually not. It is the posts about our staff. And I think it's because we live in such a small community. The people on Facebook are older, they're the parents, and I think they get really excited to see their neighbors doing these exciting things. They like if I post 20 pictures of an event that we went to, it's funny how many comments are people tagging each other being like, I see me, I see you.
Yeah. That is incredible. So, do any particular staff highlight that you can remember of getting, some really good, feedback or really good interaction on?
Over the summer, we had one of our school nurses become MBCSN. I think that's what it is, National Board Certified School Nurse. We had her become certified over the summer, and we posted just a quick picture of her shaking the hand of the vice president of our governing board with just a couple sentences congratulating her, and it blew up. She apparently is a big deal in this community. Everybody knows her, so it got bunch of likes, bunch of comments, bunch of shares. And I was like, oh, I've never met this woman before, but I think I need to.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, celebrating their accomplishments. That's great. Um, you kind of already alluded to it as far as getting more comments on your page,
Mm-hmm.
but what is your biggest struggle when it comes to social media?
So I think our biggest struggle is also our biggest strength. Being in a relatively small community where nearly everybody knows each other, um, they all want to have conversations in the comments, and sometimes they can take a negative turn if someone doesn't agree with somebody else or with what the district is doing. And we try really hard not to engage
Okay.
in the comments specifically. If we see somebody who is posting something that is outright outlandish, then we'll look at our system, we'll find their contact information, or we'll just send them a direct message via our Facebook and try to get to the bottom of what's going on.
Okay.
Um, or if it's something that we see in the community groups, not necessarily attached to one of our posts, but say somebody is complaining about something and there's a bunch of comments going on. We'll try to create a post that addresses that concern so that it gets out there, because obviously a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So it's a challenge, but you guys have found some ways of kind of taking it offline, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
getting into big war of words in the comment section, because that usually doesn't end well. Although you can sometimes say, hey, we're going to reach out to you direct, I guess, and
Yep.
make that a call. But is it mainly you that are monitoring the comments then on your pages?
Yes, it's mostly me. And then if there's a situation that's brewing that I'm not entirely sure how to handle it, then I'll take a screenshot and I'll send it to my director. And I'm like, hey, this is happening. I don't know if we need to get whoever, they're going after involved or anything like that. We had somebody last week send us a really angry message on LinkedIn, of all places.
Wow.
Yeah, super weird. He was upset about the busing. I guess he was told his daughter's pickup time was one time, but it was actually another. I'm not sure. But we had our assistant superintendent of academic services actually was able to track down where his daughter went, found his contact information, and got him all sorted out.
Okay. Yeah, they can be opportunities, right? They can be opportunities to make those connections. And then maybe it's like, oh, these people really are listening. And so I love it. You've been able to make such a big impact in such a short amount of time. And, I don't know about anybody else, but when I think of Maricopa Unified School District in Arizona, everybody hears about Maricopa County. But is
Yep.
Maricopa Unified even in Maricopa County?
It's not. It's part of Pinal County, which is even more confusing.
Yeah. And so you say relatively small district. And again, how many students in your whole district?
But coming up on 10K.
Okay, about 10,000 students. Okay. So in the scheme of things, yes, relatively still small. In my, experience with 300 students K through 12, it's still humongous. But um so we're obviously so happy for you and your ability to kind of take this and run with it and be able to advance your career. And I think this is still probably just the beginning. But if you could share some advice for someone who's considering joining the social media membership program with hashtag social school for edu, what advice would you provide, give?
Do it. If it's even an inkling in your mind that maybe this could be beneficial, do it. There's just so many resources that come with the membership, more than just the community and the people, but like you have a whole resource gallery or like the template directory. Like there's just so many resources that come with this specific membership, and it's easily accessible. It's a Facebook group. I can get to it on my computer, on my phone. I can, you know, you're so easily be able to be reached out to. Whereas like most groups, it's like, oh, there's the head honcho. They post sometimes.
Well, I see it really as my secret spot too. And one thing we just started sharing in Montana, I don't know if you looked, I had some time yesterday and I was looking through Instagram Reels. So I was just trying to look for ideas that we could apply to schools. And so that's a new thing that we're really focusing on, is just trying to inspire some, hey, can you take this trend and put it with your school? Also, we're looking at incorporating some regular conversations about AI and how we're incorporating that in the work that we do. But it's really this community is special because of people like you that are in the trenches doing the work every day. And our whole goal is to be able to make that just a little bit easier, inspire you in all the good ways. Like you said, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming because there's a lot going on. But you just kind of take advantage of what you can. And asking for money sometimes is scary. Montana, was that a concern for you guys, or were you like, it's like, okay, this is an easy investment?
Um, my my director was part of your group before I joined.
Okay.
And she had mentioned that she had seen a lot of posts coming through that were looked like they would be really good resources, but she just didn't have the time. So when she was like, you decide, you tell me if you are getting, our money's worth out of this group. And once the school year ended and it was time to, Melissa sent out the renewal emails, I was like, we're doing it. We're doing it again.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, you get to have 3 people from your district be a part of it. And what I hope becomes even better tool for you is that as you're growing these teams for all of your schools, the resources inside the group, you can share those with your team members. We allow 3 active people for a reason because we don't really we love everybody, but if somebody only does Facebook once every 6 months, their questions are going to be different than the people who are kind of in it every single day. And so that's really why we have the 3 active people in the Facebook group, but the resources are available for everybody. So I really appreciate you sharing. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your journey with social media, your experience in the crew, or any last takeaways that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Um, don't be afraid to ask for help. Social media is overwhelming and it's constantly changing. Every time I log into Facebook, something's different. Also, just because another school may be doing better than you, look at it as a resource. I scroll through Higley's Instagram reels weekly. They're doing amazing things. I have reached out to their communications person that you and I met in Flagstaff, and I said, help me, tell me what I need to download.
Yeah.
So play with it. Some of your posts are not going to take off. It's not you, it's the algorithm. Just
right.
That should be on everybody's wall. It's not you, it's the algorithm.
That's one of our stickers. Montana, did you get that sticker when
I might have? Maybe that's why it's in my head.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very true. And I'm having the team from Higley on the podcast soon. So everybody's going to get to learn a little bit. They did a fantastic session at Aspra and just really shared about how they're using it. And I love your approach. Like, if somebody next to you is doing great things, admire and acquire, right? And try to get some inspiration. You don't have to be where they're at right at that moment. Like, they may have some different skill sets and a different team model and all of that than you do. But
Right.
if you can take a few tips, and I love, Montana, also that you're not afraid to reach out. I mean, I'm sure you've realized this, that in the world of careers, I don't know of one group of people that is as giving and as willing to help one another out as this school communicator group.Uld you agree?
Agreed.
I mean, it's just like, oh, here's my template. Here's this, draft. Here's our crisis communication plan. And
Right?
So
it's like, here, I spent 3 days working on this. Don't do that. Take mine.
yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. So, well, great. I'm sure people are going to want to reach out to you, Montana. So what is the best way to stay connected to you?
I'm connected to my phone. It's a requirement of the job.
Yep.
So probably either Facebook or Instagram. My personal Facebook is Tana Roberts. And my Instagram, what is my Instagram? My Instagram is Montana Loma Rob.
Okay. We'll link both of those, and then we've also got your email address linked in the show notes as well. So if you want to email Montana, that would be great. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world this school year. You've already started, so you've got that behind you. And I really appreciate you sharing with everybody today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back next week with another fantastic guest. And until then, you guys just keep telling those stories. Bye-bye.